Hello, everyone, and welcome to this presentation. We're very excited to have you with us today because we have a lot to go through. We're covering what's new in this latest release, this major update of the Easy Suite version 20. And to help us through this, we're very excited to have our very own founder and CTO of Wytria, Eric Kuvnagel.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Eric.
So, welcome everybody for this presentation. I will try to speak not too fast because sometimes I get a bit too excited. So I'm going to keep the pace. If there is anything, don't hesitate to ask questions on the chat or on the question and answer. Everybody will look at it. So if there is any question, definitely we will answer. So version 20 has been released. I have to say we had a few glitches and we are definitely working on that. That's the first time we ever had this kind of glitches like that. I can tell you that the full team is working on it intensively. And a new version is going to be released very soon. So we are just checking that everything is fine and okay. And so a new version will be released soon. So I'm very sorry. I must say I'm very sorry for that. And but you can be sure that we are all here fully committed to make all that work 100%. So what's new in Easy Suite 20? So that's me. Hello, Eric Kuvnagel. We are going to talk about multiple things. So I have 7 big pieces for this morning afternoon. Sorry for the people in Europe. So for this presentation today, a big piece on the Flexyview, the grid. So the grid that you all know that you are all using. We really improved and added a lot of really nice, interesting functionality in it. I'm going to talk about a global improvement after quickly some quick good thing on the developer on the design developer tools. So Action Bar Easy View Easy Science Design Pro Easy, a piece on SALZ, a bigger one on Scan Easy. Scan Easy is the one that regained a lot of new functionalities. Replication Easy will you will see there is something really interesting, a fix and an improvement that are really interesting, and database is that mostly focusing on the new log, the deletion log in Domino 10. So let's begin. First, yes, if you have any question, so we still have the help, so /help, wytria.com/help. If you have any, there is also some resources available on the website, so this can be found pretty easily on the website. You just go on the website, go to the Notes Domino site, and from there you will be able to see all the resources available regarding the product. So there is one page, notably, about the registration system, which is new. It's a new registration system it's a bit disturbing because it's new, but you will see that on time it brings a lot of flexibility, and it's really interesting on what we can do with that. Okay, so the Flexyview, richer and more responsive, definitely. So let's go to the action. So from here, I'm going to use to show you database. So database, the advantage is it's one that in which we have a lot of information, a lot of columns. I'm going to select a server, loading by database, putting them in the grid, and here we are. So the grid is going to look about the same as what you had before, but there is a lot of improvements inside the grid. One of them is the Coolant Map. So if you don't forget, so we always have the toolbar, but we also have the right menu, the right-click menu. So everything that is in toolbar is going to be available here. So the Coolant Map, it's a quick way to find something. So let's say I'm looking for something about full text. So typing here, I will be able to see what's available. If it's in red, it's not shown by default. If I close, I just added the column directly. So it's an easier way to find your information around your grid. After that, so another small improvement we did. So let's say you did you have a complex selection. So, and you went through the grid, you have a complex selection, and then you say, okay, now I want the opposite of my selection. So we added this invert selection that gives you the ability to automatically switch around and your selection. So it's an easy way to work around your selection. Another addendum we had is the ability to find duplicate information inside of a grid. So if I click, so I selected here the database file name. If I click here, it will find me right away whatever is duplicate inside of the grid. So if I go here, I can see that the same. So we can see it's in different path, but we have the same database, so the same name used 3 times in the different path. So that's an easy one to use, and it's pretty efficient. After that, so if I go on, so database type, I'm going to do some grouping. And I have, so I'm grouping on database type, and what I want to see is globally what is the size on that. So here we have the ability to do some sum. So if I do that, just right away, I get some sums that are being shown right away inside on my group. So if I had some other level of grouping, as you can see, I have subgrouping type sums on all the rows. After that, so the expanding, so this is an interesting one. Sometimes I don't know if you ever face that situation. So let's say you have, and what you want just to see, in fact, the level of a situation. So what you don't want to see the detail. So let's say I'm going to add another here. So I don't want to see all the detail. I just want to see the grouping. So for that, we added inside of the group here and expand. So we have the expand to level 1 level, and you can say, okay, I just want to expand to level 2. So here, as you can see right away, it's a quick way to quickly collapse on a certain level. And so you can see right away a situation without the need to go further inside of the presentation. So after that, so now I want to, if let's say I want to export that, but the problem is when I export that, I will have the counter here. So from there, I will have the ability to choose to say, I don't want to see the counters. So this is going to be here. And this one, sorry. And here I just added and so selected to not see the counter directly on my grouping. So so if you need to copy paste or export that, you don't have the numbers, so you don't have to process your numbers just to do that. So it's a quick one. After that, so an interesting one is, okay, I have, so let's say I'm going to ungroup everything. So I'm going to ungroup my stuff, and what I want is I need to do a selection on my grid from a file. So I have a file here on my here. So I have a file with some database selection, which I want to use. So which I want to do a selection. So I'm going to my place here. I'm going to go to my grid option. I'm going to use the, where is it? Okay, from file here. I'm going to use that. It's going to show me, so it's going to read the file, and it's going to ask me, so what I want to do with that. So here, what I want to do, I want to use the database, so the database path, and I want to use the database file name. And here I go with that. I'm going to do a selection, and here I can see my file. I automatically been selected, knowing that I did a selection, but I could do a filter the same. So another one, so this is really handy because it can be anything and you can combine a lot of things. So it can, the file doesn't, it can be a CSV, it can be an Excel. So you can really combine some very complex situation, take a file from any kind of format, and from there do some selection and filtering pretty easily in any grid. So all what I'm showing here in Database, but it will work in any grid in all the tools. After that, so the regex filter, sometimes it's a bit complex. So if I go on let's say I'm going to go on the type here, and I want to do a filtering on that with using a regular expression. So, and the problem is usually to create a knot is sometimes a bit complex. So what we did is we added usability to say, okay, I want anything that does not have that. So it gives you a quick way to do a knot filtering, which sometimes just doing that by regex by default, sometimes it's really, really, really complicated. What else? So what I have so that, so we have the pivot. So in the pivot, we added something interesting. So if I go to my pivot, I'm going to use the year. So I'm going to creation here, and I'm going to use the database type here. I'm going to use the logical size. The problem is the year. If I use that, we can see the year contains a lot of information. But now you have the ability to say, okay, I am only interested in the year. I'm going to do that. I'm going to build that. And now I have my situation. So it gives you the ability to be more refined about how you can do your system. So you don't need to change any kind of formatting. This can be done directly on live while doing the pivot. The big one now. So the big improvement is going to be about the comments. So we added the ability to do, so you can add comments in your any grid. So mostly all the server-based grids. So we're talking about SRZ, Database, Replication Easy, Agent Easy, and some inside of Scan Easy. So here you have the ability to add some comments. So let's say, okay, this is bad. So I need to fix that. I'm going to put the color on that so I don't miss it. I'm going to add that. And now I have this command. If I close Scan Easy, sorry, Database Easy, so I can add some other one here. And it's just saying that this is okay. And I'm going to move that to green. Okay. So this is stored, so this comment will stay. So next time I close and reopen Database here, in this case, it will stay and it will keep, so we keep some kind of index. So if you open another server, for sure it won't show. So this, it will keep some keys, some index key, and so it will keep that. This is stored in Notes database. By default, Notes database is local. But definitely you can put that on the server, so you can share, definitely you can share that among multiple users, because so it's used Notes database, so Notes, so with all the security you have with that. So this is a quick way to implement commenting and even chatting, because if you look at it, you can decide if you want to put a comment as private, or if you want to make it public. So is it going to be shared or only read only? So that's for the global one. So something else I want to show on the grid is going to be the multi-value capacity. So now the grid is able to understand and see multi-values. So for that, I'm going to use Scan Easy, and I'm going to use these guys. I'm going to do a value. I'm going to add everybody in here. So as you can see, there is a new column here with a small icon. Here it will tell you if you found any kind of multi-value. So every time now that you find a multi-value, the system will consider that as effectively a multi-value. So if you go over, you will see the list of the different value you can have. And the interesting part is now this can be, because the problem sometimes with the multi-value is to be able to manage and to handle them. So let's say now I'm going to group with that. So I'm going to group by value here. And as you can see, now he exploded by multi-value. So he exploded the multi-value. So now I can look at the value as a unitary element. which gives you all the capacity to work as if it was one value. So what happened is, as you can see, he created as many entries as he found, and he put that inside of the grid. So now you can handle some filtering, grouping, etc. using this multi-value. If I want to ungroup, so I did Shift 11 as it was showing on the pop-up here, you see Shift 11 to unexplode. So I unexplode, and you can see here we regain the grouping as it was, for example, in the 16.5. So this is the capacity. So this is pretty powerful and handy. We also added, so that's going to be available in the version 2002. You have the ability to have a vision. So we show you in a grid all the value on a selected row. So this will give you really the ability to go and understand and go through all the value you could have and do. This is a grid, so you can do anything you can do with the grid as usual. So really handy, really practical, and it's extremely efficient. So the multi-value is it's a good addition to the tool. So that's for the grid. So as you see, it was a big one. So now I'm going to talk about the global improvements. So global improvements, mostly there is one. So we added inside of the application the ability for any tool to be, so this is something we put here. If you go in the tool here, allow database to be launched using database type URL. This gives you the ability to use some, so if I go and edit this bookmark, to use some URL. So here I have for SLIZ, in which you put either a local file. So this is an example of a local file here. So you have here, I can decide, say, launch SLZ and launch this automation file that is currently on my desk. Or even if you can go further with that, you can say, okay, launch SLZ and launch an automation that is available on an online address. So here it's going to be on our server. So just to show you, I'm going to click on that to launch it, if my browser agreed to do it. Okay. All right. Okay, it was working 10 seconds before, so I'm going to do that this way. Okay, so he asked me to open ACRZ. He's opening ACRZ, and after that, he will automatically launch the automation. So you see the automation is launched directly after the process. So it's, you can definitely so now plug some system where using some URL you can launch and generate some automation on the fly, etc. So this is an ID fully open that you can fully use for your needs in your case. Now I'm going to move to the design tools. So design tools, really mostly it's one good example is going to be about the when you're working. So I'm going to use UEZ on this one and here, and I'm going to open. So let's say you have some database with a lot of design like this one. So here I have almost 100, but more than 150 views and folder all together. And inside of that, you are working on it. So you take everything because you don't know yet what you're looking at. I'm going to do a search here. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm looking for type, for example. So anything that contains type is going to do a selection of all that. I'm going to ask, okay, so please hide the non-target so I can focus on what is only working on. So now if I can, so it will all propose you to change, so you don't have to redo your filter again, so you can keep your focus and so you can keep totally your focus on your development, so you don't have to redo the same, all the nasty selection of what you were working on and to be able to work on. So that was an easy one and a quick one. So now we're going to move on to SLAZ. So SLAZ here. SLAZ mostly, it's an improvement, it's a global improvement, is on the ability for because before the way we were working, when you were able to add a user, it was or to groups, to add some new members to groups. It was always a bit annoying because you had to do that, one by one. So now, if I do that and I say, okay, I want to add members, I have the same kind of dialogue we have inside of the Notes client. So you can select multiple add members, add custom and everything. So you can really be more. It's easier to add multiple members to a group, knowing that we did exactly the same thing on the group navigator. So if I to load that, I will have the same thing here. So before it was not, you were not able to do that. Now you can definitely handle that better, and you can even do that from the other. So from a grid vision or tree vision. So now the membership management of groups is going to be way easier. Okay, the big one. So scan easy. That's an interesting one. Let me check. Okay, I'm late. But that was the plan. Okay, so scan easy. So scan easy, the big one is going to be I think this is a huge improvement in scan easy. We added a new functionality inside of the application. And this one is a show full view of folder or content. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select one, but I can mix them. So I can select multiple folder views or whatever. And I'm going to use, for example, all by department. Since it's using the view index, it's extremely fast. And what it does, it shows you the grid. So we're talking about the view index. So we're not talking, so for sure you will see all the hidden columns, you will see the real value, not the ones that the view will show to you, but you will see effectively the content of your view index. And so you can see here, I have a core section. The core section, in fact, are all the core information about the index. So you will have what is the ID, the universal ID, all the information that we have. Is this a conflict? Is this a response? So all the core information that is available inside of the view. For each entry, you will have the information about each column one by one, and even the type. So you can choose to say, okay, I'm not interested in the type, I'm not interested in the core, I just want to focus on my view. Since now I have the view in this grid, so this uses a new hierarchical presentation of we use inside of our product today. This here will give you ability to do some really interesting work, because since it's hierarchical, it will maintain the hierarchy, or you can say, I want to see that from a flat point of view. And don't forget, as I said, you can combine view together. So you can mix folder views and everything, and then use that to do all the research and the manipulation you want to do. And after, so let's say here, I'm going to hide everything that is empty. So all this categorization. And now I have the core based information of my view. This is the grid. So everything you can do with the grid inside of our application, you can do it from here. So I think this is really, really handy. If you need to go and grab some content inside of a database, you already have some views, some folders. From there, it's a really quick way. It's going to be faster than doing a search because we use a view index, and it's going to be really efficient. From there, you will have the ability to do some action and the regular, the usual scan easy add to my selection. So if you need to do some selection, move that, and after you can work from there. Since we're it, we added the test formula here. So the test formula, what it does, I imagine, so you all should be aware of the test formula that is available in ScanEasy that gives you the ability to test one formula on a document. What we did is everywhere we have this grid, so in this place or inside of what we call the values when you are on the selection. So everywhere here, you have the ability to test quickly a formula. So let's say I'm going to use this file, I'm going to and evaluate. So what, as you can see, it did the evaluation on all my selection and it gives me a result. So I can quickly do a test evaluation rapidly from here on a selection rather than going on multiple documents and trying to do that. So here, as you all know, the formula can be extremely complex. You can use dblookup, dbcolumn, etc., etc., etc. So it's a really quick way to quickly validate the situation among multiple documents at the same time. So ScanEasy, after that, what do we have? So we have the same way we had the ability to do So here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my document. I'm going to use my first name employee ID as a title. And so the same thing I just showed you before for a selection from an Excel file or a CSV, we offer you the ability to do that from here too. So let's say here I have a file. I'm going to select my file. And inside of the file, so I have some headers. I want to use the employee ID as a section. I can have multiple sections about how I want to use that. Is it a selection? Is it an unselection? So all the regular situation. So if I'm going to do here, okay, is going to go on the tree and do the full selection of my, so here, as you can see, I selected 112. So he used the title and he matched that with the column you choose inside of the file. So it's going to be extremely fast to do a selection from there. And the final one in ScanEasy, we have the document analyzer. The prime of the document analyzer, it was working on a full database. So let's say you have a database with 100,000 documents inside of it, and you just want to check some situation about signature, about size, about author, reader field, whatever. And the prime, it was working on the folder. Now you can work on the selection. So meaning a selection, so it can be either, like, because since in ScanEasy, we always have this duality. So either we work from here, and I'm going to work from here to say, okay, I want to analyze the document on my current focus I have, or I can even do that from here and from my checkbox. So from here, we have the ability to check quickly a situation on only my 112 rather than going through the full database altogether. Okay. Next, so now I'm going to go to replications. So replication easy is interesting, definitely. Inside of replication easy, we added something new. So I'm going to load my server in replication easy. It's coming. Okay. So my server here, closing that. And here we are. So I'm going to work on some emails. Okay. And I'm going to load on the other side my local, because unfortunately in my demo environment I only have local. Okay, so here, what we did is, let's say I'm going to use, so this guy here, we added the ability to check so unread counters among multiple databases, either directly using the owner if we're talking about a mail database, or using some name. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use my name as an admin. Going to do OK. And here I can see that I have a difference on the unread table between Acme 10, so the server and local. And so you can do that on multiple names at the same time. You can do that. So if I go back here and I'm going to do that and say, OK, John Acme Catley, for example. You see, so we can see that she doesn't have Carly or he. So this person doesn't have any read table. This one has. And from there, we have the ability to do an update. So what I just did, I apply the unread table from this server to this place. So that's an easy way to manage unread table among servers. So this is available in the new replication easy. After that, another one. So I'm going to use another replication easy from here. So here I have multiple server all together. So we changed, so the Discover replica, you know, all these tools that give you all and go through and find all the hub among the system. And to give you a global map of, you know, all these databases effectively being replicated. So what we added from because a lot of people were asking for that, what we added the ability to now filter out how, because this can be extremely complex if you have a lot of server. So now you can choose to do some filtering. So let's say I don't want the field, I want the NA. Okay. And now I'm going to create that. So as you say, now only the ones that are stayed in the grid will be used. So it's a way to quickly, simplify the presentation of your chart, so you can really focus your chart of what you're looking for. Another one we did in Replication Easy is now when you want to create a replica, before we're just creating a basic stud. So, and the problem was that there was no ACL and no basic information that was creating some issue about the replication. Now you have the ability just with this small checkbox here to say, okay, when you create the stub, initialize it a minimum so the database can be handled. So usually we're talking about the core database information. So it's not because the stub, database stub is really just an ID, a replication and database ID. Here, we're at the same time putting the ACL and the core design, so the database can be manipulated, can be handled, and so replication is easier to handle. Yeah. And the last one, so database easy. Here we are. So database easy, the change are, so I'm going back to my friend here. So two major change made here. So I'm going to focus on my mail. So I'm going to do that here. Select everyone out, just keeping the mail. Okay. And on my mail, what I want, so first thing is we now manage the deletion log, so the new deletion logs that we have inside of the Domino 10. So from here, so I'm going to load this database. So I'm going to load the information about this database here. And you have the ability to see if the deletion log status has been set and what are the fields that are going to be used for the deletion log. And knowing that from there, I will have the ability to edit that. So if I go on the deletion log property, I have the ability. So you can see that here they don't have the same setting all together. I can choose one database to get a list of all the items available, and I can so enable, disable, and apply the deletion log. We don't read the deletion log because the way they store it, it's a bit strange and bizarre. My advice would be to go and use Nash. Nash made a really nice deletion log database that go and grabs information and stores that in a database from the server. So this is a database. So once it's stored inside of that, then you can use all the tool like ScanEasy to be able to go through that. So this will give you the ability to get this deletion logs, which is a text file on the server, which doesn't make any sense, but anyway, and move that to a database. And here, from database, you will have the ability to change that the way you want. After that, on database, another thing we did that was asked for a long time is the ability to handle the change, so to change the full text attributes. So we can now change, so I can now change my full text attribute, so to make it the same. So I can apply attribute on all my database and change my replication attribute. Okay, so that's it. On time, I think. Yes, I'm on time.
That's remarkable, yeah.
I'm on time. I hope I was not too fast. I hope everything I showed makes sense. I see there is a question in the question. So check encryption key field documents. Yes, the tool I was just showing, which is document analyzer, which gives you an ability to who is encrypted, and with also with ScanEasy, you will have the ability to check the encryption. So to see what is the key being used on the encryption, etc. So definitely ScanEasy is the tool for that.
And can we say a word about the latest version?
So latest version 2002. So what we are working, we fixed all the small glitch that has been. So I know that, for example, a prime has been brought out about action bar easy. This has been fixed. The database easy user activities, this has been fixed. So we also work on the improvement on the starting, because some people were complaining about the fact that it was slower. So we change how we're handling the licensing. So now it is using some lease timer. So it should check the licensing only every 12 hours. So which will give you the ability. We did some tests here, launching ScanEasy 16.5, launching ScanEasy 2002 now are the same kind of time frame. So we're in the same situation. It's not like it was before, definitely. Knowing that you always have the ability to do offline registration. So offline registration, the way it works is you go through. So if I go back on my small product here, you always have the ability to say, I want to switch to offline. So if you switch to offline, using either mail or the browser, what happens is you will get a certificate that's going to be applied on the computer, and the certificate will be valid for 30 days. So during 30 days, the tool won't talk to any server at all. The only problem with that is you won't be aware of any new release directly from the application, but at least it will be faster to start.
And how often is the checking done offline? I'd like to ask again, just because a couple of people.
So by default, it is 30 days. But
okay.
This can be adapted on specific situation.
Yeah. All right. And we wanted to also make mention that we're going to have a poll at the end. If people could please respond with just a couple questions about, for example, if they would like to hear more about specific topics, some of the new things to do with automation.
Yeah, in the version 20, we added multiple automation. So it was too short to show that today. If you're interested, definitely we can do a session talking about all this new improvement. Automation changed a lot. And it is extremely, there is a lot of really cool stuff. We're getting more and more toward a real language. Now you have error management, you have complex loop list management, and you can send some email with that. You can do some pop-up and have interaction with the user. So it becomes really interesting. So it was definitely impossible to show that today. So definitely, if you are interested, tell us, and we will do a session just talking about this very specific topic about, okay, what is new inside of the automation and what can you do with that?
Okay, fantastic. All right, well, the poll is launched. I hope if there are any other questions pending in the QA. I think there are a couple, Eric, if you could.
Yeah, so 2002 is not there yet. So as I said, we're currently making everything is correct and 100%. So it will be there before the end of the week. You will get everybody who register for the 2021 or 20 will get an email. So mention, so tell them, you will have the pop-up telling you that 2002 is coming.
Terrific.
It is working with Notes 1.11. Yes, I'm using 11.01, and it is working perfectly with 11.01. Definitely Domino 11.01. Here I'm using, I think, I don't know if it's 10 or 11 I was using, but yeah, it's 100% compliant with the 11.01 for sure. Find document with 32 params. So the same tool I was mentioning before. So the document analyzer in ScanEasy. This is the answer to your param, because this will give you the ability to using that to go and scan, and it will tells you whatever document has an issue with that.
So just to let others know, the question was how to find documents with 32K problems, which is quite an extensive issue. Right, terrific.
Also to mention, so I don't know if you saw the new website, but now we are also offering a solution for Office 365.
Yes.
So Office 365 that will give. So I don't know if you are concerned by Office 365. I know that a lot of companies with this difficult time move to this kind of solution to be able to handle the home working in this situation. So we have a really nice solution, Samsung 55. If you need some help or some information about that, please do not hesitate to contact us. We love to show you the application. Okay.
Wonderful. If there are any other questions, but certainly we look forward to your feedback. Please do get in touch with us about any and all of this, and anything we may not have covered in the time we had left. We'll follow up with you shortly. And we thank you very much for your attendance. And again, please, any feedback as you're going through this, we'd like to hear how you're making out with our latest release.
Yes. Please don't hesitate. You know, we are listening to everybody, and we are over every case and every situation for sure.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.